How's it going, everybody? We are here at the Pure Funding Studios for our initial kickoff of our podcast.
Yeah.
Excited about it. Gary Pierce, Willis Richardson, and episode 1 is brought to you by Grant Mills with local living property management. Yep. Excited to have him. Mm-hmm. He's also over at the college, does a lot of great things for the school. So
try to at least.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So anyways, we're going to kick off. We're going to learn a little bit about property management, which is a unique thing. I was shocked to know how many Airbnbs are in this area. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, man?
Yeah. So first I'll take it back to high school era. Yeah. So when I transferred from Mississippi in 2016, I'm the youngest of 4, and our family transferred to Texas. Landed in Weatherford. My mom's originally from Carrollton, dad from Pflugerville. My sister made the first move with her husband, and they were looking for the best opportunity education-wise for their kids. So they landed in Brock. That's where they showed up, and now they both still teach there. One's a basketball coach, one teaches there. And once they made the shift, it was the first grandbaby. Yeah. So then that started my parents, my grandparents, and I think we had about 12 people right around 12 months. This is our 7th year being here, and we couldn't be any more satisfied. Right. In Mississippi, my dad, growing up he was an entrepreneur all through my childhood. He always had a business or did something of that nature. Yeah. And in Mississippi, there's only so far you can go with that. He had a little more freedom, but in a lot of realms of the industries, you couldn't really, I don't know, at one point you'll kind of max out. But in Texas, the opportunity, as we know, you guys started a business last year, I started one last year, and it's been great. Yeah. So we got to Texas, went to Millsap High School, and graduated in 18.
Bulldogs.
Bulldogs. And then I joined Weatherford College, got my undergrad in organizational leadership. I'm still in school, my master's right now, but I started working at Weatherford College 3 years ago. Around that time is when Local Living was formed. So my wife and I, we were both students at Weatherford, and we knew that we wanted to tap it. We both had full-time jobs working on campus, and we knew we needed some money for date nights, and it wasn't, we're not really ones to go ask for some change from my dad. So how can we do this ourselves and have fun with it? So we started tapping into different realms of things we could do and testing ideas. And the same common denominator in everything was real estate based. We knew there was opportunity in real estate. We knew you didn't have to be stagnant in real estate. You didn't necessarily have to have a lot of capital to get started in real estate. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was the challenge of what is it? And her parents live on Lake Weatherford, and there was a house 2 doors down that just got purchased, and the guy wanted to list it on Airbnb. Now, for me, I was like, that's a great idea. That's cool. That's all we knew about it. That's a cool idea. I'm sure we'll make a lot of money doing that. Right. But we had no clue what that meant. Yeah. And basically just contacted him and said, hey, we want to manage your house. We'll take 10% of their nightly rate. We're just making things up at this point. And he's asking us, have you ever managed a house before? I'm like, I'm 20. I was like, I've never owned a house. So he took the risk on us, and that I'll forever be grateful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we only had one house for 6 months, and we learned to manage a house in 6 months. And your first few tenants, and learning customer service, and learning how to communicate, and satisfy their needs, but also satisfy the homeowner needs. Yeah. You're trying to win that 5-star review, but you're also not trying to damage your house. Right. When can you ask for a security deposit? There's so many things that we learned in 6 months, but it was great. Yeah.
How many units do you guys manage?
Yeah. So we're tapping over the 40 mark now. Wow. So it's been we're right at 2.5 years old, and we're around 40 units. The method here is if you can manage a long-term house, doesn't necessarily mean you can manage a short-term house. But if you can manage a short-term house, by all means, you can manage a long-term house.
You're replacing the concept of a hotel, right, for people, in most cases in the short-term realm. So, when you go to a hotel, you check in, right? You show up, you got the towels, you got everything, you leave that morning, you come back and your bed's made. Yep. So, is that kind of the same?
Yeah, same system. Yeah, no, we don't go in, if you stay there for a week, you're not going to come home to a made bed every day.
But no made beds, Gary.
No made beds every Tuesday. Guarantee that if you check out at 11 o'clock and there's a new tenant coming in at 4, the home will be completely immaculate. Right. And that's our job. As much as a property management business we're a cleaning business.
It would seem.
We have, but then here's kind of my method that I've learned 2.5 years later, the first 6 months, it was all us.
Yeah.
Jayce and I cleaned houses. Jayce and I cut grass. Jayce and I sprayed for the weeds.
Yeah.
I mean, we did everything. And the realization hit me when, there were a few common faults that kept happening. How come this keeps happening in the cleaning world? How come we can't stock that supply properly? How come? And I started realizing that we are not professionals in that industry. So we had that realization pretty early on, and that's where we started outsourcing our work.
Yeah.
So a lot of the cleaning's outsourced. We have phenomenal maintenance guys that are outsourced. Our AC companies, our plumbing companies, we hire professionals.
Right.
It's actually a great network. Some of my main guys, I work full time at the college.
Right.
And those maintenance guys, they have 20 years of experience, and they work from 6 to 2:30.
Yeah.
So then after 2:30, I bring them on board, and I take care of them. They take care of me, and we give them some extra work. And they do phenomenal jobs. I mean, and they're responsive, they're quick, and they have the experience to back it up.
So when you're like, you've got a listing, and John Smith decides he wants to lease out the place for 3 days. Like, do you say, anybody can rent it, or is there like a process that you vet renters? Or
So if they come direct, we run our own background checks.
Okay.
Super quick, but we run our own background checks, and we're ensuring security of the home. That's a priority for us. And then we're also ensuring that the homeowner's not going to get screwed over in the sense of, well, this person is a squatter.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that. So we have to protect that. But 9 times out of 10, if they're going through the resource of Airbnb or Verb or Booking, they're running all their own precautions. If it's a thing where it's like they failed one too many times, they won't even allow you to stay. And then one thing they also do now are the pre-approvals. So some people have such a great status. I know some people that travel so much that they have, over 200 reviews and 5-star ratings. If they book a home, it's done. But anybody that's had a 3-star review or had a 4-star review or any comment was ever kind of negative, they'll send you an inquiry. And Airbnb's like, do you want to accept this booking? So
okay.
you can kind of take your time to research
okay.
and filter that out.
obviously dealing with the general public, obviously there's a ton of risk, with not knowing who's showing up
And by no means is it foolproof.
Yeah.
We have many moms who book it for their college kids. We have many of college kids who book it for high school kids, and we've seen that.
Do you have cameras there so you can see how many cars are like pulling up, and
it's
not like cameras throughout the house, but like so that that if there's a park,
no cameras in the house,
no cameras in the house. I know one guy that does it over, and he does like a family party house, like big, multiple master bedrooms, multiple rooms with en suites, dedicated room for pool and shuffleboard and I don't know, all kinds of like table games, table tennis, and he'll have arcades there. And the idea is the kids go out and do that, and the parents hang around and cook meals and talk. He goes to all the neighbors and says, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what they are. It's not. I don't ever let college kids do it. It's only families." And he also prices like through the roof. I'm like, oh. But when you're splitting it with 4 families, that's not too much. When you're just wanting it a big house for a party, that's too much.
Initially, I don't think I've ever met any neighbors that were all on board.
Oh, no.
Not one neighbor that I've talked to has been like, well, "This is a great idea. Let's rent this lake house out right beside ours in the middle of the summer. It has 11 beds. Great." Like they've never. That's never the reaction we get. I'm going to meet the neighbor. I'm trying to knock on the door and say, "Hey, my name's Grant. Here's my cell number. Call me if you need." A lot of times your homeowners already know them, so you can get their contact that way. But that trust is very big. Is most of our homes, when they're onboarded now, they have the digital door locks that are synced to our software to where it automatically changes the codes to 1 hour before the tenant stay.
Okay.
And it goes to their last 4 phone number. So the only one that has the master codes are our cleaners and the homeowners. So that's kind of our security precautions in and outs. But then as far as cameras go, we recommend, it's on a homeowner by homeowner basis. We have some that have them all throughout the backyard. And then we have some that have them all in the driveways. But the standard practice, I would say, is just typical Ring doorbell. What you're really looking for is not even just the head count. People are usually pretty honest about, hey, they'll even tell you, "I got 4 people coming, but my grandma's going to come here for 2 hours. You cool with that?" Like they tell you all that information because they think that we're going to charge them for it. But really what you're looking for are pets. And that is probably the number one lie in Airbnb. is the pet fee and the pets, and they don't want to pay for it. And what I've learned, and this is not the only one, but everyone's pet is an angel.
Oh yeah.
No pets from
Oh, I
what I've
have an
heard.
amazing
Yeah.
dog. It won't do anything.
No.
My vacation is from my pets. That's my vacation.
Leave them at home.
Leave them
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, so that's kind of the biggest thing that we're looking for with cameras.
Yeah.
You know, we're not those big towns we're not ski resorts. We are Weatherford, Texas. We're coming here to buy a new house, to go to a wedding, or to go to the stockyards.
Yeah.
So,
That's pretty awesome.
That's interesting to know because I've always wondered because how many Airbnbs or short-term rentals are
yeah.
in Weatherford?
I think we're probably touching a little like 135 now.
Okay, and so
135.
I've always been like, what is there to do in Weather? I mean, Weatherford's got a lot to offer. Everyone move here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like attractional. I guess it is all Fort Worth. Stockyards, things like that. But
Yeah.
they still want to be here. I mean, there is a lot of things going on in Weatherford now. There's a lot of growth that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day, Bella Habib was at Target. Yeah. Okay.
Every wedding venue in Parker County knows local living property management.
Oh
Nice.
yeah, that's a
a
great
great-
partnership.
Yeah, and we've established very good rapport with a lot of them. We take care of their clients. They take care of us. If you don't know about us yet, give us a call.
Yeah.
So when it's fall and spring, like last October, November, we're stacked, and that's almost expected now. And that's just part of our marketing that we've taken initiative on. The other one is new home builds and moves. You know, we have a lot of people coming to Parker County. I think everyone's aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the benefit of my business for that is there's usually a 2 to 3 week gap where they're waiting on a closing, as you guys.
I'm in the middle of one right now, and we're scrambling
Yeah.
to get one final inspection done on the new build. And they've been in an Airbnb in Fort Worth since I think
Yeah.
about a week now. So yeah. What other avenues are you partnered up on? Is it you talked about the wedding venues and things like that? Are you doing anything with obviously in our area is huge performance horse business here? Do you see with the futurity in Fort Worth? Do you see folks
Yeah.
coming into town for that?
Me and my wife have an ongoing joke. If there's a cowboy in Parker County that has an Airbnb, we're managing it. You talk to any of the Australian guys at the coffee
Yeah.
shop and any of those guys that have Airbnbs and the ones that are trainers, we all run we run their show on back home.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of their friends and buddies and come into town. So I would say the only avenue we have to that is directly to the trainers. Homeowners typically, you got to watch a homeowner that'll, I'll just block it off for him. He's a good old boy. But we got to remind them that, the way my company is set up and the way they're set up is that if they're not making any money, I'm not making any money. This isn't necessarily, I know it's your house, but that's part of it. But we do have a great client and avenue there.
Good.
Then also, I try to take initiative with Jayce myself. She joins the Women's Networking Group, hosted by the Baker firm and those guys. And I guess it's hosted by Tammy Rokas.
Tammy Rokas, yeah.
So Jayce's loved that group. And that's been a great resource. It's a good destination committee for us. That revenue to come in there and, when you have singers coming to town, you have staff coming to town.
Absolutely.
Those people need a place to stay. So allow us to be that resource.
So speaking of events, we were talking earlier today, and before we started, the April 8th is the Eclipse coming.
Eclipse
and
is
apparently,
coming on Monday.
Texas is the hotbed for
It's here.
watching.
We have every single house is booked out next weekend.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And most of them are saying it's for the eclipse. And to tell you how extreme some people are taking it, they're already here. And they're scouting spots to go look at it.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of on the western edge of it.
Yep.
I know when we were down in Uvalde area a few weeks ago, they were talking about, I guess it's dead smack in the middle as it kind of works its way northeast.
Well, I think what it is, I think everywhere is booked.
Yeah.
In this area. So
And
I think
then
that's
they're
why
just
Weatherford's
being pushed
booked.
out.
So
Correct.
it's the next best spot.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Crazy.
But we're even trying to take it a step further. We're buying glasses for the houses.
Oh, nice.
We're like, hey, there you go. I'm sure they're bringing their own, but we're gonna have some.
If they're that serious about it.
serious.
They've got
The least we could do is buy some $2 glasses for them.
When you're working with a client, talk to me about the process that you go through to sell somebody that owns a house, and then kind of what's your technology stack look like to support that?
We have like 2 different clients. We have one that wants nothing to do with the house.
Yeah.
And then we have one that wants everything to do with the house.
No in between.
And there's not necessarily a good or bad way. So the homeowners that do everything in between were like phenomenal. They're handling landscaping. They're putting plants on the ground for us. They're doing great. I love working with them because they're passionate about it.
Right.
But some of them are like, hey, this is an investment, and I got a full-time job. I'm hands off. And for those, we also like them as well because we're feeling like there's not as much micromanaging. So there's a fine balance that you have to know to communicate to both. Whenever we're onboarding a new house, the number one, I mean, I don't know what y'all's number one, what do you call it in the sales world where it's your number one no or your number one objection is, oh, well, we like managing ourselves. Okay. That's great. Can you tell me what that means? Like, what does that mean to you? What does I like to manage myself mean? Does it mean you like cutting your own grass? Does it mean you like texting the tenant? The bare minimum that we offer is your standard maintenance that we learned at the first 6 months.
Yeah.
That's the bare minimum. If we aren't doing that, then you kick us to the curb. But then also a big common denominator is there's 5 tools of marketing that we offer. 5 big tools.
All right.
And the first one starts with price optimization. So a lot of homeowners, they don't understand the market value of that home.
Right.
And for them, they need $190 a night. They need $210 a night.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how this game works. This game is a everyday changing negotiation. If you're not actively changing prices every single day, then you're getting beat out by us. And that's just the real world because that's what we're doing.
You're not optimizing. Yeah.
So the way we're set up is we basically talk to the homeowners. We figure out what their note is, where they need to be. We try to really, because once again, if they're hungry, we're hungry. We're not making any money if they're not making any money.
Yeah.
So we tell them, where do you need to be? What do you need to make? Okay, so if we're looking at a 45% occupancy rate right now for this next month, we need to set your base price at 170. What's the minimum you can take? And we'll pull the minimums and we'll say 132. And then we kind of set the maximum. But for me, I don't really set maximums because
And let the
if
market,
the market
can
says
set that.
if the market says $400, we're having a good day. You know, so that's what we go off of. And then we allow AI. I know that word's getting used a lot these days, but we're allowing AI to work. We give it the parameters. And long story short, every single night at 12:01, our prices for the next 365 days that aren't booked reset. So when homeowners are like, well, what do you do to account for vacant weekends? What do you do? We're like, what do we not do? We physically can't do it any faster.
Right.
If it's a Thursday and the weekend's open, we are the most aggressive company at getting somebody in that weekend. So the next one that's pretty typical, this is kind of if anybody says they do property management, if they're not offering this, keep walking. But multi-channel marketing, 5 years ago, that was a cool feature. It's like, oh, you could take a listing and like put it on Vrbo and Airbnb. Wow. You know, they'll talk with each other. If this Airbnb gets a booking, Vrbo blocks out. Yeah. Great feature. It's just one of the 5. It's like
So your technology, you take that, you're going to actually take that property and then you can push it out to all those channels. Is that okay? That's what I figured it was.
Yeah, we push it out, but like a lot of homeowners don't even do that much.
Yeah.
Because they're having to manually do it. They're like, they manually post it on Vrbo, manually post it on Airbnb, and they manually block the dates off as they communicate with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is very stressful.
And sometimes they get double booked.
If you get a double booking, you can consider your Airbnb gone.
Yeah.
The Airbnb doesn't play that game.
Oh, really?
Most companies do not. They don't play the double booking game.
They don't like each other.
Well, good deal. Awesome. Well, hey, I will make sure we get all your contact information in the comments below. That way folks can reach out to you. Cell phone, website, whatever, carrier, or actually just go down to Ironworks and
you'll run into me. You'll see me at 8 a.m.
Anyways, thanks for coming in again, man. It was awesome. We're excited about your business and look forward to seeing y'all grow it. And we'll have you on again here soon.
That's awesome. I'm going to do one shout out real quick to these guys. I didn't get to do this earlier, but I'm going to say it now. I've sent quite a few clients to them to at least get information, whether they close the deal out or not, just getting to learn from them. I've learned a bunch from them the past year. They're very easy to talk to. They understand all situations in life, whether you're 23 and trying to figure things out and buy your first house, or whether you're an investor that has 10 properties already and how can you roll those and do better for your renovations and expanding. So they've always had a great experience with us. So by all means,
Thank you.
I support these guys 100%.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
that.
Well, till the next episode, we'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Thanks.